Hello, my name is Dale Danker. I'm the president of TWU Local 514 here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're here with Brad Brugger to talk about some airplane stuff.
Yeah.
Brad, would you like to introduce yourself, your title?
So I'm Brad Brugger. I do all the ASAP and flight safety stuff for Local 514. So the ASAP coordinator, flight safety. It's kind of a few things that I do, but that's kind of what I do. You may have heard of ASAP, so let's start there.
Yep. So Brad is the first in what I would like for this local to do a series of video series of who are we and what do we do, what are we trying to accomplish. And like I said, Brad's the first, and he might be back in to do follow-ups. But so let's just get right into it, Brad. What is ASAP?
So ASAP is the Aviation Safety Action Program. It's a non-punitive reporting system that was started in 1994 with the pilots at American Airlines and the FAA as a test. So we are, since that started in 94, there's 800 ASAP programs in the U.S., and it's also a very important part of our safety management system at American, which every employee has some level of exposure to now with the mandatory training from the FAA.
So, to that point, can you talk about who is covered under ASAP? And I know we're going to say the tech ops, and most folks know tech ops, but kind of give us a broad overview of you're covered under tech ops and what tech ops is, and just kind of lay that out for them.
Okay, well, so there's 7 ASAP programs at American Airlines. So ASAP is a bigger program than just what's in Tech Ops. So we have a Tech Ops program that covers everybody in Tech Ops, but we have Flight ASAP that covers all of our pilots. We have Cabin ASAP that covers all the flight attendants. We have GSAP, which covers all of the fleet people. We have Central Load Planning, crew scheduling, some different ones. ASAP, though, is our way to report what we see in the operation every day. Things that may be a concern to us, a hazard, and something's not right, a process. But who all is encapsulated in our Tech Ops program that we work in every day is everybody under the Tech Ops umbrella, and that it doesn't matter what your job is in Tech Ops. If you're a crew chief, inspector, AMT, MLS, cleaner, facilities, GSE, QA, training instructors, MCTs, everybody is part of the Tech Ops ASAP umbrella. They're under the umbrella. And in some way, it may not, when we're driving through the gates out here some days, it may not seem like we are connected to that airplane flying at 35,000 feet, right. But we are. And so the value of this program and why it matters who all's part of this is that we all have a piece, a part in the operation of what we do every day. And if something doesn't look right, that's why we have this program, so you can talk about that.
Yeah. Well, last night as I'm coming in the house and turning my TV on, I was reminded how important it is, the things that we do in Tulsa in 5F in 1979, the dock that I grew up on, where they had the problem with the engine on the DC-10 and what ultimately landed Flight 191 going down in Chicago, how important it is, just a nut and a bolt. A nut and a bolt can be important. So with that catastrophic failure, loss of life, down to something that you may think is not that big of a deal. Why is it important to use the ASAP program, and what can the ASAP program do to elevate all of our safety awareness?
So think about what, especially if you're talking about Flight 191, it's important. If we would have had ASAP back then and people would have used it, we may have had the ability to understand that, hey, we kind of made our own procedure the way we were doing it. We did some stuff that we thought was right. Yeah. And so it's important for us to identify issues that maybe we don't know about. Maybe just the crew that's working on this knows about that issue. And whether it was some kind of a process a paperwork issue or training, or hey, we don't have the right tool to do this job, we're using a forklift to do something, we had to do something. So that's one of the big important reasons why we use the ASAP program, or should be using the ASAP program, is to identify that kind of stuff, bring it up so that, hey, look, let's get it into the ASAP database, and then share that so we can say, hey, this isn't just a Tulsa thing. Charlotte's seeing this, DWH is seeing this too. Right. We should think about that. But it's also our responsibility as aviation professionals to report those hazards and always remember that, hey, we might be in the hangar, a shop, or someplace that's a little disconnected, but you might see something that could eventually turn into a hazard someday down the road.
Right.
And you may be the first easiest place to identify it.
Right.
So it's really important to consider that, if something doesn't look right, and I hate using the term see something, say something, but it does end up being that simple. And the frontline employee is the first line of being able to see those hazards and identify them. And so under an SMS, that's what the SMS training tells you to do. If you see something, bring it up to somebody, report it.
So Brad's not the boogeyman. If you hear they called ASAP and Brad Brugger's coming down to get involved, it's not, oh no. But also the other side of that is what is management's role in that, and should you be afraid to ASAP something because now management's going to get involved, and what all? So can you kind of put that together for the guys that, like, because I messed up, should I just go tell my crew chief, or what should I do? And if the management going to get involved, it's my job. Can you kind of lay that out for everybody?
Sure. So part of SMS is most of the requirements around SMS that the FAA has are toward the company. It's their requirement. They have to have a safety management system. Part of that is you have to have a reporting system where people are willing to report. So management's first priority when it comes to our reporting systems is creating an environment that people feel comfortable reporting, that people aren't afraid to report. How easy is it for you to tell your boss bad news, and how well does he take it? I mean, that's a pretty good description of your safety culture, right?
Yeah, you don't want to get fired because you brought something up.
So the company, their responsibility is create a place where you are encouraged to report these things. And what we should be doing with these programs is understanding why things happen, whether it's something that I just told you about, we just discovered, or, hey, we were doing something and it didn't go like it should have. We should have an environment that people are willing to come in, sit down, talk about what happened, so that we can focus on fixing it, improving it, learning from what just happened, and keep it from happening to the next person or the next time we do the job, and get away from just focusing on who to blame and a reactive way of doing things. And unfortunately, there's still a lot of that going on. We have an SMS CBT that we have to take every year. And in that CBT, it gives you a little scenario where a supervisor comes out and encourages a mechanic to file an ASAP report. We don't see that near as much as we should.
Not likely, but it was in the video.
But it does happen, but it's not like it should be. So that environment to encourage people to say, it's okay to report this stuff and talk about it. It's not where it needs to be. And we all have a responsibility in that, but we need to, that as far as the company, they have to create that environment that it's okay to report this stuff.
So that leads me to ask this question: when you say report it, you report it, and then it gets accepted, or it gets maybe not accepted. You might say rejected, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but can you give some examples of what would be an example of this got reported and accepted? Maybe this got reported, but it wasn't accepted into the ASAP program, but it was handled in a different way.
Right. So I'll just give a generic report that we make, and we get them all the time like this. But let's say an AMT was working on an airplane. They were doing a job, and they put everything back together. They thought they did it right, and the airplane left. No problems. Everybody thought everything was great. And then they're working on the next airplane and they're doing the same job and they pull something apart and they're like, wait a minute. That is not like we remember it happening on the last airplane. What do I do? Pick up the phone, call one of us.
So that's what I was just writing that down. So include right there where you were getting ready to say it. How do they make the report?
Okay, so there's a couple ways to report.
And then finish your story, because
Okay.
that was a good example of my next question.
Okay, so let me finish my story
Yeah.
first, and then we'll come back to the report. The story ends as, hey, they pick up the phone, they called one of the ASAP people, your contacts, which Al Ball will put at the bottom of the video in here, who to call in Tulsa, and we stopped the airplane. We went and had it fixed, and hey, look, yep, you know what, you didn't have that secured right. We stopped the airplane. We went and had it fixed. Now we're looking at, wow, that work card didn't even address that. And so maybe we get with engineering to fix the work card and fix that. Now, how do you file an ASAP report? Once again, we'll have our contact number on the screen so you can see how to get a hold of us. And if you can't get a hold of us, simply go to the AMT homepage or GPM 1105 or GPM 2.7. Either all of those places will tell you how to get to ASAP and file a report. But the easiest way, the quickest way, is to get a hold of one of us, one of the local reps here that handles this every day.
Yep.
That answer your question?
That answers my question. And obviously, if you can't get a hold of one of them, you can call me 918-636-6089. I'll put that on there too. 24/7, and I bet we'll find Brad. We'll find one of the guys that help Brad. There's other guys in the system. If you've got a situation that you go and it's a safety thing, please don't stop with I left a message. Keep if you don't get a call back pretty quick. I mean, the goal is to try to correct something that might be a problem.
And I didn't answer the second half of your question. Yeah. What wouldn't get in?
That's right.
I didn't. Okay, so let me just talk about a report that we see this every now and then. So let's say we get a report and it's dealing with a safety concern that might be something that OSHA handles, an injury, something like that. And we wouldn't exclude that report. What we might do is take that report, accept it, and say, look, we really don't handle that, but these guys over here, we have safety guys in Tulsa that do handle that, and we've got a hold of them. We've sent them over a copy of a report. We'd close and accept that report, right? But we'd move it on. Not every report gets accepted. We accept around 98-99% of the reports. Sometimes they are reports that they just don't belong. Right. Maybe it's some kind of a harassment thing or something. Right. We say, hey, that's not what we do. Right. But so we have, but we do accept most of the reports. But there are some types of reports that we will just say, hey, look, we're not the experts on this. We'll move it along, whether it's OSHA or EPA. We've had some of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to press you a little bit right there. So give us an example of maybe someone that's an MLS working in stores. What it would look like for them to say, I don't think this is right. Should I report it? And maybe facilities where I'm not sure about this. Can you give us some examples of that? Sure. So in MLS, we see reports from MLS about, hey, we didn't declare this hazmat shipping. We shipped it from Tulsa out to Vegas, and we have to, there's certain, and I'm not an MLS, I can't tell you all the stuff, but there's paperwork that you have to file with it to declare it a certain way. And there's the example of that, I watch a lot of air disasters, is ValueJet went down, and it was oxygen generators. Right. And I don't know whether that wasn't MLS. That wasn't the fault of that. It was a process where they loaded them where they shouldn't have loaded them, and they weren't empty. Right, they were just expiration date was out. But an MLS could. We have reports on MLS on that, moving parts, different things like that. Facilities, maintains all of our equipment, all of our testers, they do a lot of stuff, tanks in the turbine building, right? And we've got reports on that kind of stuff. Hey, I'm doing this and this isn't working right, and nobody's really responded to this. What do I do? Well, you file an ASAP report and let us get into it and investigate it, and we get it fixed.
Right.
So,
all right.
So
I've ran out of questions for you, and I don't know how long we've gone here, but you got anything you want to add?
No. I hopefully we can come back and get into a lot more detail around some other subjects, because we deal with a lot more things. So
yep, and I want to continue a video series of who are we and what do we do as related to airplane stuff. And thank you for coming in.
Hey, my pleasure.
Right. Thank you.